Hello amigos, welcome back to my channel. So someone sent me a video called 11 common things that don't exist outside the USA. Very curious to see this one, so let's just jump into it. Alright.
Chocolate chip cookies, dental floss, traffic lights, all great American inventions. These things originated in America but are now all over the world. But if you think that everything American is in every other country, then you'd be wrong. There are some things that you just don't see outside of the USA. I'm Charlie and today we're going to look at 11 common things that don't exist outside the USA.
Alright, so I've lived in different countries. I've lived in Mexico, I lived in Denmark, and I've lived in China for 6 months. So I'll give you my opinion if this is all actually true, if these are things that I haven't seen in any other countries. I've actually traveled, I also traveled a little bit, mostly in Europe, but let's see.
Before we get into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming up first, we have medical and lawyer ads. If you're not from the USA but have gone to visit, I'm sure you switched on the TV and heard this phrase. Ask your doctor if this product is right for you. And then, most likely, a big list of scary warnings and side effects. This is something that only happens in America and it's advertising for medical products. Outside the USA, it's weird to see commercials for medical related things. Most people would just go to their doctor and get what their doctor suggests. But in the USA, it's common to see medical things advertised as if they were any other product.
Okay.
But medical ads aren't the only odd advertising you'll see in the USA. Another thing you'll often see is adverts for lawyers. I'm not talking about Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad. Believe it or not, that's not just in TV shows. In the USA, lawyers really do advertise on TV. Did you know that 60% of the world's lawyers reside in the USA? And the USA is said to be the most litigious country in the world. This means the most lawsuits come from inside the USA.
Okay, that's actually true. At least from what I've seen, I've never seen any ads from doctors or lawyers in the TV, neither in Mexico or in Denmark or in China. And fair warning, I don't really watch TV in Denmark or in China. I didn't watch TV when I was living in those countries. In Mexico I did, but yeah, I never saw that, and it's hard for me to imagine that I would see any ads of lawyers and doctors in Denmark and China, especially in Denmark, because in Denmark the public health is basically free after you pay your taxes, so you have a very good public health care. And lawyers, I mean, no one is really suing in Denmark if they don't have a really good reason. I've never heard of anyone suing anyone in Denmark. I mean, of course it happens, but I just never heard it.
Next up is spray cheese. When you think
What the hell is spray cheese?
France. Luxurious French cheese is a staple of fine dining around the world. But the USA has a different kind of dairy-based delicacy. That is spray cheese. Cheese is eaten a lot in the USA. In fact, the USA is the world's largest consumer of cheese. But America also loves convenience, and that's why cheese can be bought in a can in the USA. Now, spray cheese is actually only 51% cheese. By law, to call a product what it is, it must be at least half that product. So that's why it's only 51% cheese, not a percentage higher. The other 49% is flavorings, protein, and ingredients. Spray cheese has been big in the USA since the 1960s. And it's even sold in various flavors. For example, cheddar, bacon, and even American flavor. I wonder what that is.
Okay, another one that is actually true. I've never in my entire life heard of spray cheese. And the host of this video mentioned that it's for convenience. I mean, I think cheese is already pretty convenient. You just take it and put it on your food. I mean, what's the added convenience of having it? I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. If you know spray cheese and you're a spray cheese lover, please let me know in the comments down below.
Next up is garbage disposals. I'm sure you've seen in movies and TV shows how Americans throw their food scraps into the sink. You may think, what happens to them? Do they just sit there? Well no, they go into what's called a garbage disposal. These things actually only exist in the USA. In other countries, food scraps would be put in the kitchen bin. But why is it that only in America do they use garbage disposals? Well, the reason why is because in many other countries it's banned. This is because it's not very environmentally friendly. That's because all of the food is mixed in with the general water waste. This then at some point must be filtered out. So it wastes a lot of energy, but it is convenient.
Okay.
Next up is college
Another one that is true. I mean, I don't have much to say. I've never seen that in any other country.
sports. Every country loves sports. Whether it's cricket in India, football in Spain, or baseball in the USA. But only in the USA are they obsessed with college sports. Every country loves professional sport leagues, and the USA is no exception. But one thing that's different about the USA is that they love college sports as much as regular professional sports. No other country gets behind colleges as much as the USA does. If you ask people in other countries if they can name a college team of any other sport, chances are they can't. In other countries,
I know one from Mexico. It's called Borregos, and that's the American football team in the school that I went to called ITESM or Tec de Monterrey. But other than that, it's true. I don't know any college sport teams. There's not a big culture for watching college sports. None of that.
Sports are not broadcast on TV. And they also don't make any money at all, as opposed to the millions made in US college sports. In the USA, college football brings in thousands of spectators to fill up stadiums. But in other countries, college football games are lucky if they even get the friends and family of the people involved watching. Also, the biggest stadiums in the USA are pretty much all college football stadiums. Out of the top 15 biggest stadiums in the USA, all 15 are college football stadiums.
Okay.
The largest of which being the Michigan Stadium, which can hold over 100,000 fans. Next up is white teeth. Have you ever wondered why all Americans seem to have great white teeth? It seems for some reason people in the USA are obsessed with getting the perfect teeth. And by perfect, I mean white and straight. Americans actually spend more money than any other country to make sure their teeth are white and straight. But despite all the money that's spent on getting white and straight teeth, that does not necessarily mean they're more healthy. For example, the British are often mocked for their bad teeth. But according to a Harvard University study, British teeth are actually more healthy than American teeth. Trust me, not all Brits look like Austin Powers. One reason why this may be is because in the UK, under 18s can get braces for free. However, in America, they're very expensive, and there's a good reason for that. According to a study by New York Mag, in the USA, good teeth can be the difference between getting a second date and not. Apparently, 38% of Americans will turn someone down for a second date if they have bad teeth. And 60% of Americans say they perceive someone as smarter if they have straight white teeth.
Okay, that one I thought was a bit weird. Are they saying that there's only in America you can find white teeth? This one I'm not sure. I'm just confused. I think I don't. I think my teeth are okay, and I never received treatment in the USA, so I don't know about this one.
Next up is Black Friday. If you're not from the USA, you may not understand why everyone goes so crazy on this day every single year. Black Friday is the name given to the day after Thanksgiving, which is another American holiday. The term Black Friday came about because of the amount of accidents and sometimes even violence shoppers create. People go crazy for all the deals in the stores, and sometimes there are riots just to get into a shop. Black Friday has expanded to other countries, for example the UK. But videos of Black Friday in other countries have gone viral for different reasons. That's because no one really cares about Black Friday in other countries.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I have seen Black Friday in Denmark, for example, and I think in Mexico, I'm not sure we have Black Friday. I haven't lived in Mexico for a long time, but I do remember having El Buen Fin, which is like the good weekend, and I'm not sure if it's the same date of as Black Friday, but it's basically the same concept. But it is true that people don't go as wild as they do in the USA when you watch all these videos of people just waiting outside the store to basically run and find the biggest discounts and all that I haven't seen in any other country than the US. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the culture for doing this, even in the US, it has gone down. I don't think we have any recent videos of people on Black Friday going wild, but I might be wrong. Yeah, don't quote me on that.
And shops often only get 1 or 2 extra visitors than on a normal day. Billions of dollars are spent in the USA every time Black Friday rolls around. But it seems the rest of the world just isn't into it. Next up is solo cups. If you're American, this may come as a surprise, but red Solo cups are seen as a very American thing. In movies and TV shows, everyone drinks out of them at parties. And many tourists actually bring back a red Solo cup to their own countries when going to America. That's because it's seen as a piece of American iconography, although many Americans don't realize this. In other countries, people simply drink from beer bottles or glasses, but in the USA, they use red plastic Solo cups.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I'm pretty sure I saw those in Mexico. I was living in Monterrey, so that's pretty close to the border, so that might be why, but they were really, yeah, you could find them anywhere pretty much. And also in Denmark, I've seen them when people are playing beer pong, for example, so it's not like anyone would go to the USA and buy some red cups just to bring them back to Denmark, because you can find them in the store next door to me right now. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one either.
Next up is free refills. When I was dining in the USA once, a waiter came up to me and said, "Would you like me to refill your drink?" I said no because the drink was kind of expensive, and they looked at me like I was crazy. That's because it is typical in any American restaurant to have a free refill. In other countries, you need to pay if you wanted extra drink, but not in the USA. In other countries, if you pay for one drink, that's what you get. And many Europeans say that they find it very weird when they go to the USA and their glass gets refilled, even if they don't ask. But personally, I love it. I'm never going to turn down a free drink.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure if does that count for all drinks? Like if you buy a beer, will you get refill all night long, or is that only for sodas? And if that's the case, then there are some restaurants that I've been to in the US and Denmark. And sorry, I also mentioned that I lived in China, and I don't think I've mentioned China so much. That's because I've only been there I was living there for 6 months, and that was quite a while ago. So I don't have that much of a reference as I have with Mexico, which is my home country and I visit quite often, and Denmark, which is the country where I live now. So I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, I have seen restaurants in Denmark and in Mexico where they do refill your drink, but it's mostly sodas and it's not all of them. So this one might be true if it's true that in all restaurants in the USA you can get a refill, and then secondly, if it's also alcoholic beverages, which I would be a little bit surprised.
And finally on the list, we have flags. Every country has their flag, but no one shows off their flag more than the USA. If you drive around the USA, it's common to see people flying the American flag on their homes. Also, many buildings, schools, and businesses will have an American flag. This is something you don't see in any other country. According to research, over 150 million American flags are sold every year. And it's not exactly known why people in the USA love to show their flag off so much. Worldwide, the USA flag is the second most famous flag after the Union Jack. But no other country waves their flag as much as they do in the USA. Vote in the poll in the top right corner the most interesting common thing that doesn't exist outside the USA.
Okay, this was an interesting video. There were quite a few things that I agreed with that you don't see in any other countries, at least not in countries that I've visited. This last one with the flag, I have a funny thing to mention. In Denmark, this was a shock for me when I moved here. In Denmark, when it is your birthday and you go to the office, people will put a Danish flag on your desk as a symbol that it's your birthday. And also on birthday cakes, you'll have little flags, little Danish flags on your birthday cake. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's a bit weird, but I just roll with it by now, and I actually find it a little bit cute. Anyway, I guess that is it for today's video. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to react to next, please put it down in the comments down below. Without any further ado, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I will see you next time. Bye.